Good evening, Bulldog fans. This is the Coach's Show on RiverCountrySports.com. I'm TJ Vickers. Joined alongside me is Coach Kyler Hall. Coach Hall, it's been a couple weeks since
It
I've seen
has.
you. Thank you to Wayne Luttrell for holding it down for us this past week while I was out sick.
Feeling better?
Yeah, feeling better, feeling better. All things aside from this past weekend, my
Yeah.
Gators and everything
Oh, yeah.
else, but yeah, we're doing all right. Thank you, Coach. I
Good.
appreciate you checking in.
Good to see you
As a
again.
Seminole fan, I know that
Yeah.
we got to be
I got,
checked in on every now and
we're
then.
sharing some of those things.
Well, this past Friday night, we went on the road, went over to Godby, actually went over to what was it? Was it Child's
Child, yeah.
Child's High School actually? But we faced Godby Cougars. They came away with the close 29-26 victory. Coach, let me just go ahead and get your thoughts on the game.
Oof, that was a tough one. Probably, probably the most disappointing loss, since I've been here. Just a district game. We're on the road, and we had just ample opportunities to take advantage of the game, take control of the game, really run them off the field. I've been in those type of games more than I like because when you can see it, from a mile away when you have a team that you got an opportunity to put away, but you just let them hang around and hang around and hang around, and they have the type of players and ability where if you do that, at some point, it's going to come back to bite you. And that's what happened. Early on, we had a chance to go up 14-0. Um, we were up 10 points, 11 points late, with an opportunity to really take control. But every time we got in that position, we made a mistake or we let them back in. Um, and such a big opportunity we had to go 1-0 in the district and really put ourselves in a good position. But hats off to Godby. They played better, especially towards the end. We didn't finish well in any phase of the game. Um, but I thought our players played hard, and I thought at times that was probably our best played game. But man, we've yet to put it together for 4 quarters. But that starts with me of throughout the week in practice, making sure that we have a complete practice, that we don't have those mental letdowns, and prepare them for the environment that we're going into, the type of team we're playing. As far as man, you got to put these guys away. So I've got to do a much better job of getting, those guys ready, especially a lot of these young guys that haven't played in a game like that until Friday night. But um, you know, you you learn from a game like that. And we all would have much rather learned from, win, obviously. But we're still in the picture. It's going to be a little bit different route than we have liked, but that was a tough one for sure.
Well, you talked about it, Coach. Right away, Godby gets the ball first. We have a big pass breakup by Zion Walker, a three and out,
Yep.
and then we come back, get the ball right away, and we run it right down their throats, 7-0. They get the ball again, another three and out, and then we get the ball back inside the red zone, and then unfortunately MJ has that fumble, and like you said, Coach, that could have totally swung the momentum of the game and kind of get our chance to put our foot on their throat, if you
Yep.
will, and
Yep.
kind of put them away early.
Yeah. I mean, and you could feel it. Like
Absolutely.
they had no enthusiasm. Um, and even with MJ's fumble, it was questionable.
Hmm.
It looked like the ground caused the fumble, but either way, we had that opportunity. But I think where we kind of took a step back is we played to their level of energy. Like we were up, but we were playing flat. So I don't think we realized, man, this is it right here. If you go up 14-0, but you never know, man. You can run away with that game. So that's where, in that moment, we've got to have more of a killer instinct and go up 14-0 and continue to press them because defense we're playing well. Then we let it back, and then they get a score. So that was an opportune time early to take the wind out of their sails because they're the type of team where if you jump on them and you get on them early, like you got a good chance to beat them.
Hmm.
But then if they get some plays and they get some confidence, as we saw it, they played all the way through the end and got some big plays. So that was a missed opportunity early to really take advantage of the game.
Plenty more coming up here on the Coaches Show, but for now, let's get into our first commercial break.
Hi, my name is Katherine Haney. My grandfather and my dad, Wes Haney, have been selling and servicing Chevrolets in the Swanee Valley area since 1968.
I'm here with my brothers, Weston and Jonathan. We want to tell you why Wes Haney Chevrolet is the best place to buy a car.
At Wes Haney Chevrolet, it comes down to two things: low prices and excellent customer service. You are a part of the family just as much as we are. Your happiness is my dad's first priority. He will always fight to make sure you get the best deal and the best experience.
My dad doesn't play games and he doesn't charge dealer fees, so we can always get you the best price. We have amazing incentives this month to put together a great deal on any Chevrolet car, truck, or SUV. The best built, longest lasting vehicles on the road. We guarantee a better deal and customer experience than you can get anywhere else.
We would love to show you our beautiful selection of new and used vehicles. We are located in Live Oak, Florida on Highway 90 East. I can guarantee our dad will give you the best deal, and we are excited to earn your business.
This is Wes Haney, and as always, no dealer fees and no games. Come see my team at Wes Haney Chevrolet.
Welcome back to the Coach's Show with Coach Kyler Hall. I am TJ Vickers. The Coach's Show is brought to you by our sponsor, West Haney Chevrolet of Live Oak. Stop by for a new or used vehicle and all of your vehicle service needs. Coach, one of the things that I noticed right away for us whenever we got the ball, offensively speaking at least, was we saw a formation with MJ as the Wildcat quarterback and Big Dell and Allen as
Yeah.
kind of a lead back, lead blocker, but also he was toting a rock as well there early in the game. But how much of that formation was just basically due to the injuries that we have already suffered going into this game, and maybe just wanting to give a new, fresh look for us on game film?
Yeah, part of that was, we had Jadarius Horn out, so we had some other guys banged up. But watching film, we thought that we could, you know, get some physical running game going. So you look at what Delwyn did, especially in the first half, um, and then we saw what MJ did the week before at running back. So that package actually probably worked a little bit better than we thought, and we stayed in it, a good amount early, and thought the offensive line established the line of scrimmage, and we were getting some chunk yardage. So anytime, again, that's where when you're playing that style of ball, and then you go up, let's say if had we connected and gone 14-0, and you're physically beating them, you could take a team spirit away very quickly. Um, so that was kind of the thinking behind that. I thought we had a great plan going into it offensively, and I thought for the most part, we played probably our best game offensively. And so, I hate the Devil got hurt a little bit later, but he had some good physical yards. Clay Starling, we still had Freddie and Lou Jack back there. What MJ did carrying the ball, so I think we had, I don't know, close to 190, I believe, rushing yards. So that was an effective game plan going in. And I thought, especially early, we looked pretty good in it.
Well, offensively, coach, like you said, it seemed like we finally found a pretty good rhythm. We got some things clicking. We kept the ball moving. And for what it's worth, I thought Thomas Sykes, although probably not asked to pass as much as we've asked him to these past couple weeks, I think he was 7-11 on the night.
Yeah.
Did still have the one interception where he missed high to Zion Walker, I believe, on one throw. But I thought this past Friday night was probably his most efficient and the best he's looked as a Sony Bulldog just far.
Yeah, and he's continued to progress and get better. And I think that's just, with trusting the offensive line, more repetition and connection with the receivers and those guys continuing to grow. We had Lopez out, Hunter Watson was out, so we've had some guys. Coy's still been out. So you're looking at, three, starters in all essence on the offensive side that were out. So there was opportunities for guys to step up. And, Zion had a big play for us, and MJ continued, to play well. So I did think that Sykes continues to play better, and so I think for him as his confidence grows, I think you'll continue to see him play at a higher level.
One of the things that I enjoyed the most about this past Friday night was being able to see Clay Starling get on the board.
Yeah,
You talked about being able to go out there with Dylan Allen as your lead back, as the blocker to start off the first few drives, but then he did get banged up a little bit where we then again kind of saw, okay, back to the drawing board. Let's go find somebody
yeah,
else now. Who else healthy do we have back here? And you saw Clay Starling kind of fill in that role, and he was rewarded with getting 6 points on the board.
yeah. Looking at Delvin and Clay, they're a little bit change of pace back. And Clay has a history at running back. He's played it, I think he played in middle school some, but I know he played it in JV, and he always reps it at practice. So I think that was a great example of when that opportunity comes, you be ready and you go in and do what's needed for the team. So it was good to see Clay prepared and ready to go when his number was called. So he'll continue to be a guy that will be ready. He's a starter at linebacker, plays a ton of special teams. So he's a football player. I mean, you throw him in anywhere, and he's going to find a way to get jobs done.
I think probably the highlight of the evening, as far as the Swanee fan is concerned, MJ's play just as a total. We'll get to that here on the other side of this second commercial break that we're going to go into. But I thought the individual effort of Zion Walker to come down with that touchdown in the corner of the end zone, just what an incredible leaping grab.
Yeah, it was. He went up high, pointed it. Zion's a very athletic kid, very rangy, can run and jump, and just a sophomore. So he's week to week, he's another one as he continues to learn the offense, learn the defense. You're just going to continue to see him make more plays like that. But I think where Zion's really going to excel, I know he can make those plays, but now getting consistently, running the right routes, making the routine catches on top of what he can do as a big time playmaker. So yeah, he's continued to grow and get better. Also, is back at is one of our return guys. So there's been a lot that he's done so far as just a young kid.
Well, and the more spectacular to highlight, probably Zion feels like, okay, I could step up and do that because we saw in the Madison game through traffic over the middle, nonetheless, too. Coming down with the ball between a couple different guys, he's able to get 6. We just talked about what he did there this past week on the road versus Godby, where he came down with an incredible catch. And yeah, like you said, just maybe rounding his game out a little bit more, where we're making sure he's getting the right reads. He's blocking outside as well. But you're throwing a lot at the young man, and so far I've been impressed with his play.
Yeah, for sure. And we knew going into this season that defenses were going to know where MJ was. He's the veteran return guy, and you've already seen him already this year make a lot of big plays. So there's naturally going to be a lot of attention that's shown to MJ. But, when teams do that, whether they try to double team him or whatever the case may be, I think you're starting to see those guys step up with those one-on-one opportunities, whether it's Zion, our tight ends with Logan Brooks and Hunter Watson. Would love for him to get back healthy. Lopez, Hoy Fryer, you've seen make plays. So when we get healthy, and hopefully sooner rather than later, and we have our full force of receivers, and there's a lot of really good playmakers that can give defenses fits. So now, we got to continue to grow, and we've lost some close games and some disappointing ones, but this is a young group. We got to continue to work and press through struggle and adversity, and I believe if we continue to do that, we'll come out of the other side. And I think a lot of that will be due to the fact these young guys continuing to take advantage of opportunities.
You're watching the Coaches Show on rivercountrysports.com, but for now, let's join Keith Hunter for a Bulldog Bark.
Hi, I'm Keith Hunter, and welcome back to the Bulldog Bark. I got one of the former Bulldog greats, Rodney McClendon. How you doing, Rodney?
I'm just doing fine, just dandy. Can't complain about nothing.
Well, that's good. That's good. Looking good, man. Looking good.
Man, I'm glad you see it that way.
Well, all right. Okay. Well,
yes, sir.
I hear watching Swanee football. How long has it been since you played on
man.
the field?
My senior year was 1995. I come out of 1995.
It's 30 years then.
Yes, sir.
This is the 30 year right here.
That's exactly right.
That's right.
And it's a pleasure and honor because one of the guys I played with, my great friend of mine, which I'll be doing he's getting inducted to the Hall of Fame this year.
Now, who was that?
Shane Wheeler.
Okay.
So he called and asked me to do the introduction of him. I say, man, he said, man, I wanted to know what you do. I say, man, say less. I don't even know why you hesitated to ask me about that. I said, that's a blessing and a pleasure to me to introduce him. For him that called and asked me, all the other cats we played with, he thought that much of me.
You think about that, 30 years.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
He gets inducted to the Hall of Fame, and the first person he called to introduce him is you.
It's me. He sure did. He did that.
That might be close to the honor itself of being in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
at least that's the way I would look at it.
Yeah. When he called me, I said, man, I don't even know why you thought you had to hesitate to ask me that.
But think about the impact that you left 30 years ago,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I've always tried to, do the straight and narrow to be the best person I was taught and brought up to be.
But I mean, you say something there because that's a testament not only to you, but also, like you said, to your upbringing and everything. I mean, just for somebody to see that character in you.
Yes, sir. I had wonderful parents, and they tried. I ain't saying they succeeded all the time, but they did pretty good on me.
Well, you know, I used to be your Sunday school teacher. At least I know I was your sister's Sunday school teacher as well, for sure.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, definitely, man, definitely. But good to see you out here. You come out here and frequent Bulldog football?
Oh, yes, sir. I try to support as much as I can. My buddy down there, he's the coach. He just come over from Jasper, Kendrick Carter. Me and him do a lot of coon hunting together.
Okay.
And so I come out and try to support him, which, you know, Kyler Hall was our ball boy.
Right.
Him, Matt Jackson, all them cats. So I come out and try to support as much as I can.
Right.
Anytime they call and need something, I'm there for them.
Okay. So you say he's a former Trojan, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah,
he come over here to be part of the winning tradition.
Yeah, that's what I aggravate about that all the time. Yeah.
So you finally getting a W, huh?
Yeah,
in that rivalry, he might see a W in that rivalry.
I told him if you want to be a winner, you better come on over this way.
Come on over.
Come on across the river.
All right. Well, let's look back now. What position did you play back for the Dogs?
I played fullback. Yes, sir. Played fullback.
You know, I don't know what game it was, but, you know, I used to come over up here to Redmond from Jacksonville. And I do remember, I don't know what game it was, but I remember you broke off tackle and probably went 60 or 70 yards. I don't know what game that was.
That was probably the View Hopes game.
It may have been more than one game, but I definitely remember that one.
Yeah, I always wanted to hear ever since I was a little boy. I always wanted to hear the announcer say, "Oh, McClendon on a 15-yard scamper," and that made my night. That night I did that.
Well, I tell you, and I remember that. I do remember that. Like I said, but you had good speed. I will give you credit for a fullback.
Yeah.
And you may have played a little of the halfback as well, but you came behind some great running backs too.
Man, I come behind some legends. Some legends. Yes, sir.
Who were some of those guys?
The first person I ever looked up to was Tracy Dog Brown. I mean, you can't deny him whatsoever. Then another, which I'm naming all fullbacks now. Then Terry Williams.
Right.
I mean, that's why between him and William Floyd, I used to love the way he ran in college. And that's why I picked number 44.
I talked to Barnard, William Floyd Barnard. I saw him in Tallahassee.
Yes, sir.
And I told him, I said, you know, William, man, people don't remember that national title game. They remember the kick for the win.
Yes, sir.
They remember the drive. But I remember the 4th and 1.
Yes, sir.
You remember that?
I remember all of it.
Yeah.
Back then, don't get me wrong, I'm a diehard Gator
That's
fan.
okay. I know this too. I know this.
But William Floyd, he was the man. That's kind of a lost art now. You don't see, and then even back then, fullback didn't really tote the ball that much unless you was, you know, pretty jam up. They had a lot of faith in you.
Well, the fullback and the tight end.
Yes, sir.
You could those two players are really some of like the workhorses on the team, because not only are you involved in the blocking and all of that, but you also get the ball in your hand as well.
Oh yeah, you hitting somebody every play.
Right, exactly.
Somebody every play, and I guess Coach Pittman had a lot of confidence in me too, because every game I was the first one to get the ball. Every game.
All right, I want to thank you, Rodney McClendon, for joining me on the Bulldog Bark. You know, some great names have come through Sewanee High, playing at the running back position and at the fullback position as well. Rodney McClendon is probably one of the most underrated players to play in the backfield, but was one of the best fullbacks to come through Sewanee High. Again, I want to thank you for Rodney McClendon for joining me on the Bulldog Bark. I now send it back to the fellas for more oh my's and hunker downs. This has been the Bulldog Bark.
Welcome back to the Coaches Show on RiverCountrySports.com. The Coaches Show is brought to you by our sponsor, West Haney Chevrolet of Live Oak, and thank you to Hardee's of Live Oak for providing our delicious meal for the Coaches Show. Coach, we talked about a few individual players, but the absolute star of the night was MJ Rawson, 5 Get Live. We've heard that before, and that certainly was the case this past Friday night. Coach, I'm just going to run through the numbers for people real quick, just so they know the impact MJ had on the game. 103 yards and a rushing touchdown. 84 yards through the air and a touchdown as well. Interception on defense, 87 yards on kickoff returns, 69 yards on punt returns for a total of 343 total yards on the evening.
Yeah.
Just what an incredible effort by MJ.
Yeah, that's
to put it lightly.
Yeah, that's a career night. The last individual performance I can remember that was similar was Jacquez Moore, his senior year. when we played
The
Buchholz.
Buchholz game, that was
I
nuts.
think he had like 450 yards of total offense or total yards. But yeah, um, he showcased his overall athletic ability. Um, and the cool thing about that, so coaches can come by, like during their bye week. So FAMU came by um, Tuesday or Wednesday and told him, hey, we're going to be at the game. So I know he was excited and probably added a little bit of pressure to himself. Man, I got to go out and perform. Sometimes you go out and you don't because you
Mhm.
overthink it.
Mhm.
But the fact that he went out and performed at that level, um, and I don't know what else MJ could do on the field, um, to showcase like his talents. Like that's somebody's going to get a steal of a kid because he checks all the boxes. His character, athletics, academics, great kid, coachable. Um, so this whole the way college football is now, the recruiting process is really jacked up, especially when it comes for these high school kids because a lot of colleges they're going to go to the portal, but some smart program is going to get a heck of a kid, heck of a player. I don't know what else he could do. Then he could go at receiver, he could go at DB. So I'm hoping that somebody comes to their senses sooner than later because he is a tremendous ball player. But I know just from the impact he made for us, and I think that's what made Friday night so frustrating when we have a performance like that and we made the plays that we did. Like that's a game that we have to win. So that adds to the sting even more because we played so well at times. But we didn't. Um, so we've got to figure out how to close those and how to put teams away.
I would imagine going into every Friday night, if you're a young man, you're just hoping to put something on the highlight reel as far as a
Yeah,
couple plays, build out a profile from there to add to your huddle account. You could put that entire broadcast off of rivercountrysports.com.
yeah,
That entire show or game could have been, okay, MJ, just here's your highlight reel.
yeah.
I
No,
mean,
I mean you got to put good film out there, and he did that above and beyond Friday, and he's done that. Last year, unfortunately, got hurt midway, but yeah, he's playing exceptional in each phase of the game. So, and teams know going into Friday nights like he's the guy, and we have other guys as we've talked about, but every Friday they're going to try to know where five is, try to stop him. But the funny thing is, teams continue to kick to him.
I don't understand that, coach.
I mean, we'll take
I
it,
know you'll
but
take it, yes.
um, I don't know. So
I mean, yeah, every time I see the ball, I think at this point in time, it'd probably just be better for them to kick it out of bounds.
yeah,
Because I mean,
because yeah,
yeah, at least they don't put six on the board whenever you kick it out of
yeah,
bounds. That's the risk you're running every time that MJ touches the ball. And I think an underrated part of his game. We see what Travis Hunter's doing there for Colorado, where he's playing wide receiver, he's playing defensive back, he's doing as much as he can. The amount of snaps, the amount of calories he burns every
yeah,
single game that he goes through. Well, kind of add the other phase of the football game as well. MJ
yeah.
doesn't take that part off. He's the kick
No,
returner. He's the punt returner. And one way or another, he's going to be entrusted with every single aspect of the game. And so the physical endurance that young man has to have to keep his body in shape to do what he does at the level he does it, that's incredible.
yeah, because he's playing upwards of 100 plays per game, and on top of that, he played back at our middle safety, which he's more of a natural corner. But what they were doing offensively, and we've had some guys out. He just kind of fit what was needed for that night, so he jumped in, had the big interception, and was an impact player back there as well. So very proud of him, and hopefully he continues to have a stellar senior year.
You get on the bus after a game like that, and the whole bus has to be dejected. At that point in time with such a tough
Yeah.
loss on the road, with it being a district game. But what do you maybe like talk about MJ about? I know you have an overall message for your team that you deliver, but do you maybe pull MJ off over to the side? What conversations did you have with him after that game?
Well, kind of after the game, everybody's stinging, everybody's hurting, players, coaches, um, because you work and you work and you work and you put yourself in that position and it's right there, and then we let it slip away. But the good thing you see kids that were hurting after the game. That means, it cares. It matters to them and they care and they don't want to lose. There's a lot of kids out there that just like putting the uniform on, and it doesn't matter win or lose, they're fine. But I saw hurt after the game, which is promising. So now we have a chance to respond. And 2 years ago we were in a very similar position, sitting with the same record and going on the road against a good team. And that year, went down to North Marion and we responded. The players took ownership and accountability, and they kind of took the lead, and we had the guys step up. So that's been the challenge to MJ and the rest of that senior class. Like, take the reins, like take over here, uh, let your voice be heard, get these guys going. Because now the challenging part is to bounce back from that loss because it was so tough. But it's behind us now. We have Appling, and we're going to get tested again this week of our resilience and our mental and physical toughness. But I believe we have the guys in the locker room to do that. We just got to go and put a complete full quarter game together.
Plenty more coming up here on the Coaches Show, but for now, let's take a stroll down memory lane with Keith Hunter and a blast from the past.
Time for a dog blast from the past. Time for a dog blast, a dog blast from the past. Time for a dog blast.
Nobody open. He tried to get rid of the football. It was batted down at the line of scrimmage, and then he was belted after the ball was thrown. A late hit called on Hardy County, and that's a break for Swanee. Automatic first down for Swanee and a 15-yard penalty from the Swanee 48-yard line. Move at 15, and we will end up around the 37-yard line of Hardy County, 1st and 10. It's been a very explosive game, and it's jam-packed, over 8,000 fans, and they're seeing a shootout. Palmer, the quarterback, will send Fryer and Andy Williams to the near side. Split back, Marcus Nelson and Terry Williams. Palmer looks over a 6-man front, and Fryer and Williams talking things over. Palmer hands under center. A quick pitch to Nelson. Nelson to the 35. He finds some room to the 30. He's to the 25, inside the 25. And what a block thrown by Andy Williams. And that really broke it open for Marcus Nelson, and they will spot the ball down at the Hardy County 23. 1st and 10 Swanee, a gain of 13, 14 yards. 14. The Wildcats trying to do a lot of guessing on defense. They're double and triple covering Fryer on certain plays and trying to contain the run on other plays. That time they guessed wrong. 1st and 10 Swanee at the Hardy County 23. Matt Fryer and Ralph Lutz at the far side as receivers. Timeout on the field. Officials timeout. Matt Fryer and Ralph Lutz at the far side. 1st and 10 Swanee at the Hardy County 23 to the near side. Split backs Nelson and Williams. The quarterback, quick handoff to Terry Williams to the 15, to the 10, to the 5, touchdown. Untouched, up the middle, behind number 52, which is Matt McMillan, Chad Mobley, and he was simply untouched.
You've been listening to a dog blast.
Do you have a valuable garment that needs dry cleaning, or a pair of jeans that need to be heavy starched, or a pair of pants that need to be hemmed, or a wedding gown to be preserved? Then hop on over to Howard Street Dry Clean in Live Oak, Town and Country Dry Clean in Perry, Madison Cleaners in Madison, or one of the 2 Cloud Cleaners locations in Lake City. All 5 locations have a convenient full-service drive-thru to better serve you. Each visit is greeted with a smile by a friendly staff member, and when you pick up your items, your satisfaction is guaranteed. And as always, your business is appreciated. Visit one of our 5 locations today to ensure you're dressed to impress.
Hi, my name is Catherine Haney. My grandfather and my dad, Wes Haney, have been selling and servicing Chevrolets in the Swanee Valley area since 1968.
I'm here with my brothers, Weston and Jonathan. We want to tell you why Wes Haney Chevrolet is the best place to buy a car.
At Wes Haney Chevrolet comes down to 2 things: low prices and excellent customer service. You are a part of the family just as much as we are. Your happiness is my dad's first priority. He will always fight to make sure you get the best deal and the best experience.
My dad doesn't play games and he doesn't charge dealer fees, so we can always get you the best price. We have amazing incentives this month to put together a great deal on any Chevrolet car, truck, or SUV. The best built, longest lasting vehicles on the road. We guarantee a better deal and customer experience than you can get anywhere else.
We would love to show you our beautiful selection of new and used vehicles. We are located in Live Oak, Florida on Highway 90 East. I can guarantee our dad will give you the best deal, and we are excited to earn your business.
This is Wes Haney, and as always, no dealer fees, no games. Come see my team at Wes Haney Chevrolet.
Welcome back to the Coach's Show with Coach Kyler Hall. The Coach's Show is brought to you by our sponsor, West Haney Chevrolet and Live Oak. Stop by and check out their great inventory of new and used vehicles. You'll be glad that you did. Thank you to Hardee's of Live Oak for providing our meals for the Coach's Show. Coach, a couple more players that I want to speak on this evening before we conclude the show up. Travis Feed just always seems to be around the ball this past Friday night. Had a sack, and then later on in the game, actually had a fumble recovery as well. That's another younger player, like we talked about with Zion Walker. That's another younger player that's really starting to show with some good game film.
Yeah, so T-Fed, he goes by many names. T3, T-Fed, Dooley, Duloc. Very rarely do we call him Travis. But he is he's an old school, just throwback football player. He don't weigh but I don't know, $170 maybe. But as
Well,
far
that
as
rain probably helped him, maybe get him a couple
he
more
got
pounds
he gave
less,
him some more
this
pounds
past
for
Friday. Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
But just always around the ball, scrappy, can get off blocks, strong hands. Man, when he gets some hands on you, he can he can snatch you off. He can get you on the ground. He's not missing many tackles. Once he wraps up, he's a pretty sure tackler. He's played, Mike and Will this year. He played some of our spear, which is our outside backer. Can also run the ball. We're kind of thin at backer, so he's not getting as much time on offense just out of necessity of what he's doing defensively. He's a special teams player, but he had a great summer too. We went up to a camp up at Coffee County, and he was a standout that day. So we knew, and we saw last year, bits and pieces of the way he got to the ball. But he is going to be a tremendous player before he gets out of here. And he's only going to get bigger and stronger and understand the game better. But starting at linebacker as a sophomore is one of the tougher positions to have to start at because you're there taking on big linemen. The game is fast. You got to drop in the coverage. So there's a lot, and we have two of them in there with T-Fed and Jace Moran, which are going to be two really good players. They're doing good things now, but I thought T3, did a really good job Friday.
Well, that transitions me right into the next player that I want to bring up, which is Jace Moran. We saw him a little bit more on offense this past Friday night, probably out of necessity more than anything, because he still does have that cast on his hand. But we did see him out there offensively as well. What would you say about his game this past Friday night?
Yeah, he's just a naturally tough player. Plays with a lot of energy. He's playing that spear backer, so he's going to be walked up on tight ends. He's dropping the coverage. He's a blitzer. He's already did an H-back, and once he gets that cast off, you'll probably see him carry the ball a little bit. He can kick. He's running down on special teams. So again, just another football player. There's not really one position that we kind of stick him at. He's just a little bit everywhere. Could play a safety. He's a smart player, understands the game. Is one of those baseball players. I think we have about 7 of them, and those guys tend to be. They've just got some savvy about them. They got some football awareness and big time baseball recruit as well. So he continues to get better, and once he gets that club off, I think he'll be able to be even more aggressive and do a little bit more things offensively for us. But another good young sophomore that's coming up.
Coach, I'm wondering what's that line look like for you guys? So you're out here practicing, and you have a variety of players that are younger players and so versatile, like you talk about with Jace and a few of the other guys that we've mentioned on the broadcast so far. But how do you walk that line between, okay, these are young players, we need to get them reps, we need to develop them, but we don't want to necessarily overload them with information. So how do you walk that line of making sure they know what their responsibilities are, but also knowing they're so versatile that we can kind of line them up in a
Yeah.
few different spots?
Yeah, so ideally, you don't want to throw more mentally on a player than necessary. But when you get hit with some injuries and you have a lack of depth, sometimes they have to do a little bit more. But I think with some of these sophomores, they're responding. The more we throw on them, whether it's offense, defense, special teams, which a lot of them are playing all 3 phases of the game. So mentally, if they can understand it and, as coaches, you try to keep it simple. That way they can go out and play fast. But I think that's one thing with the sophomores we've talked about so far. They're understanding what we're trying to do. That allows them to go out and play fast, play free, and make plays. So this probably the most sophomores that we've had starting in a while. So there's good and bad with that. They're in that fire probably a little bit sooner than you would have liked, but you look at the growth they're making now and then the type of players that they're going to be as juniors and seniors.
Well, and that's one of the things I was going to talk about. You just said it right there. We're pretty reliant on some underclassmen to
Yep.
kind of find their way sooner than later, for this season. But
Yeah.
a couple years down the road, how much is that going to pay dividends? Where you could look back and say, hey, look at some of these games that we've dropped that were unfortunate, losses.
Yeah.
But now we're forged in the fire. We've come on the other side, and now here we are, and we're better for it in the long run.
Yeah. And you have to keep that perspective because to me, and I've always said this, the sophomore season is one of the tougher ones because the game is still fast. You're not as physically developed as you're going to be, and you're facing these juniors and seniors that are older, physically maybe more talented or better, whatever the case may be. Um, so it's tough because you're not where you want to be. But if you can withstand the ups and downs and some of the tough moments, I remember Andrew Brown a few years back played linebacker for us. We had we had two injuries at linebacker his sophomore year. He was a backup, two ACL injuries, so like that, he's in the starting position. And man, he went through it. Um, but the thing about Andrew, we would watch film on Saturday mornings. He would show up every Saturday, and every Saturday, we were coaching him hard. It was like, man, that's a terrible stance. And we can call him right now, and he would say, yeah, that's right. His stance was terrible, but he was young.
Mm-hmm.
He was trying to survive at that point. But he got thrown into the starting position. But every week, you see him get better. And then his junior senior season, man, that was his defense.
Incredible.
That was his defense. And so now he's up at North Carolina Wesleyan, starting Mike linebacker. It's his defense. Man, he looks the part. He's a smart player. But I always use him as an example of a sophomore that went through the ups and downs. Didn't pout, lose confidence, took the coaching. Didn't up and leave, like he stuck with it, and then in the long run, it paid off for him.
And speaking on this Andrew Brown example, I think that's a perfect example. I can't speak to the individual he was just as a sophomore, but that junior and senior year, like you said, Coach, it was his defense
For
because
sure.
he was leading by example, but also he was that vocal leader too.
Yep.
And I think that speaks to, okay, he was a part of the film study, so he understands what is expected out of him and probably what's expected out of the other 10 players around him as well. And so you see that as a perfect example of that benefiting a young man and the team in the long run.
Yep.
And we again, we're relying on some sophomores here, but if we can have a few more Andrew Browns coming through for Swanee football on Friday nights, I think we'll be in an all right spot, Coach.
Yeah, for sure. He was a good one, and again doing great things now up in college. But he was a true bulldog.
And Coach, one of the things that with us speaking on sophomores, probably in an ideal world, you would have them playing JV unless they were just an uber special athlete there
Yeah.
where they required the varsity reps. But I think one thing that we haven't talked very much about this year, but I know you and I have spoken in the past about, is the 6 quarter rule where, they're able to play some JV, some varsity. But now I think because of the injuries and because of everything else that we've gone through this season so far and this young season, kind of having to see them play a little bit up more on the varsity side more so than the JV side.
Yeah, for sure. You know, I love the 6 quarter rule, and it gives guys you can travel some guys. Last year we had more freshmen last year that were 6 quarter guys. We don't have as many this year. We're trying to get those guys, full JV, get them reps, have them continue to learn. We have some sophomores, probably about 5 or 6 that have been those 6 quarter guys, but it kind of goes year to year. Some years you can have a little bit more sophomores on JV playing, and that's always been my philosophy. If we're going to bring a freshman or a sophomore up to varsity, then he better be playing. I don't want to waste a year him just sit on the sideline. The kids need to play. So with some of these sophomores, I'd rather you play 4 quarters on a Thursday. you can play up to 2 on Friday, but at least you're playing and you're getting reps and experience. So that's kind of how we handle the 6 corner, and we haven't had as many that we've had to, use this year.
How exactly
And
is that managed, Coach? So let's say for JV they play all 4 quarters. So you know going into Friday night you have leeway of 2 quarters. Do
yeah,
you maybe see them play in that first half, in the second half? Do you try to find some balance between like okay maybe the first and third quarter? I mean, what exactly does that look like as far as trying to game plan that?
yeah. So one, you got to make sure that all right, whether that because you can split how you want. You can go 2-4, four
Hmm.
two, 3-3. However you want to do it. Um, so it's kind of need based, at positions. So for example, we got 2 offensive linemen that play, sophomores. They play on Thursdays, and then just depending on what happens if we got an injury. So where a kid may naturally play the 4 on Thursday, if we got one down on varsity, all right, we may back him down to 3 or 2, just in case. It doesn't mean he's going to play that much on Friday, but at least you have the opportunity where if you get in a pinch, you can throw him and plug him in there.
More coming up here on the Coaches Show. You are listening to the Coaches Show on RiverCountrySports.com.
Do you have a valuable garment that needs dry cleaning, or a pair of jeans that need to be heavy starched, or a pair of pants that need to be hemmed, or a wedding gown to be preserved? Then hop on over to Howard Street Dry Clean in Live Oak, Town and Country Dry Clean in Perry, Madison Cleaners in Madison, or one of the 2 Cloud Cleaners locations in Lake City. All 5 locations have a convenient full-service drive-through to better serve you. Each visit is greeted with a smile by a friendly staff member, and when you pick up your items, your satisfaction is guaranteed. And as always, your business is appreciated. Visit one of our 5 locations today to ensure you're dressed to impress.
Hi, my name is Catherine Haney. My grandfather and my dad, Wes Haney, have been selling and servicing Chevrolets in the Swanee Valley area since 1968.
I'm here with my brothers, Weston and Jonathan. We want to tell you why Wes Haney Chevrolet is the best place to buy a car.
At West Haney Chevrolet comes down to 2 things: low prices and excellent customer service. You are a part of the family just as much as we are. Your happiness is my dad's first priority. He will always fight to make sure you get the best deal and the best experience.
My dad doesn't play games and he doesn't charge dealer fees, so we can always get you the best price. We have amazing incentives this month to put together a great deal on any Chevrolet car, truck, or SUV. The best built, longest lasting vehicles on the road. We guarantee a better deal and customer experience than you can get anywhere else.
We would love to show you our beautiful selection of new and used vehicles. We are located in Live Oak, Florida on Highway 90 East. I can guarantee our dad will give you the best deal, and we are excited to earn your business.
This is Wes Haney, and as always, no dealer fees and no games. Come see my team at Wes Haney Chevrolet.
Coach, we know that all turnovers are basically drive killers, and they swing the momentum into the favor of the other team. But particularly on this past Friday night, it seemed like our turnovers just happened at the absolute worst moment
Yeah.
that they could have possibly happened. So, just what you see from the Sykes. We've talked a little bit about the MJ fumble. Where was it a fumble? Maybe not. I don't know. But we had to deal with a ruling on the field nonetheless. But what you see from the Sykes turnover as well?
Yeah. Between turnovers and the mishaps on punt team, those one just from the momentum position just completely swing it, and it just gives them an opportunity to get back in the game. So again, the one with MJ was questionable. We thought he was down, but you know it's it's one of those things. I knew going in because we've had that staff more times than I would like over the years. So I just went into Friday. There's going to be a couple of those that don't really go your way. Um, then the interception, I think that's the one that went off of Zion's hands. Is
Hmm.
that the one
Yeah,
across the
yeah,
middle? Yeah.
yeah.
So we have an opportunity there, try to get some points going into because I was going into
Hmm.
the half.
Hmm.
Yeah. So we would like to get at least a field goal. Um, my biggest fear always in that situation, you throw a pick and they pick six. So fortunately that didn't happen, but um, between those two, and then we add, the snaps on the punt. So just those are the things that continue to hamper us, and it's been something a little bit different each week that has put us in a bad position and let a team, take advantage of those opportunities. We play good enough teams; they don't need our help. So we got to stop handing out free gifts at times, but um, we just got to continue to get that better and fixed in practice and let that translate to Friday night. That's where we've seen some struggle too. Is we've talked about this year, this group practices pretty well. But I think now, especially with some of these young guys doing a Monday through Thursday, and now let's translate that to a Friday night. And I think that just comes with maturity and growth. So hopefully we'll start to see more of that translation, to Friday nights.
I was going to ask, is it more of a mental block sometimes where
Yeah,
maybe
for
they're
sure.
just thinking a little bit too much and then, palms get a little sweaty
Oh
and then
yeah.
all of a sudden we're making a little bit more mistakes than what we care to?
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing like when the lights come on Friday. Like you can't simulate that part. Practice is great, and you got to have it, and you prepare. But Friday nights is different. It's gonna bring out who you are, good or bad. It's gonna bring out who you are. But the better you prepare, and the more you can make those plays in practice and get yourself that confidence, that way you can play fast and physical and eliminate some of that thinking. Then you set yourself up more times than not to have a great Friday night. Um, but there is that intensity rises when those lights come on, and some guys respond to the lights. Other guys, it's a little bright at times, and a lot of times you see that with those young guys. But they'll get it. They'll get there. You know, there's nothing like the experience of going through that game. It stings. It hurts. You don't want to deal with it, man. You you want to win that game, but if you allow it, it can make you stronger and a better player and a better team. But now we've got to do that. We've got to respond and do that this week.
Well, coach, defensively speaking, I thought for the most part of the game, we kept them pretty good in check. The Godby quarterback, he was mobile, but he's what I think is probably one of the most dangerous versions of a quarterback, where
Yeah,
he can kill you on the outside if he wants to, but he
right.
rather sit back there, make the correct read, and then just go over the top on you if he can. And for the most part, we did a very good job of containing him and limiting him, but there was just a couple times where it was a fourth and goal situation. He's
Yeah.
able to break through and get a touchdown there in the first half, and then the couple long throws over the top of us that they were able to get six on. What would you assess your defensive play?
Just not where it needs to be, for the third straight week. You know, as you mentioned, we've done some good things and we played pretty well first and second down. Third down has continued to be kind of our Achilles, that and the big play. Madison, we that was a heavy run game, and we never aligned and adjusted and stopped the run the way we needed to. But if you look at Columbia, even going back to our kickoff classic with Bishop Kenny, and then this past game against Godby, the big play, getting behind us, it's killed us, and you know, it's put us in these positions like we're in now. And it's not just that, but as a secondary, um, now that group is pretty young overall, but there's plenty of ability, and I've got to do a better job of, again, getting them to understand situations that I can't let this guy get behind me, especially when you play a quarterback that can throw it all over the field. I mean,
Yeah.
that kid's a good quarterback. He's got a great arm, but I thought we made it too easy for him at times, whether it be third down, that last drive. Like we've got to find a way. I've got to find a way to get our DBs, and whether it's sending more pressure up front. But that's got to be a situation where when you walk out of the field as a defense and we have the lead, we're going to get the stop and we're going to win this game right now. So uh, that's a process to get to, but we're going to get to it.
And as well as we started the game, maybe part of the problem that we had more towards the end of the game is just nutrition a little bit, and the fact that we are so thin up front, or just really in general for the whole team, that we're asking so much out of these young men to go both ways, to go potentially all three facets of the game as well. We started off so strong, but maybe we kind of saw that wear and tear just kind of taking its effect more towards the end of the game. I know you're a coach there, and you're not here to have any kind of excuses, but
Yeah,
the reality of the situation is we're putting a lot on a bunch of young men.
yeah,
We
for
want our
sure.
11 out there that are the best that we can have,
Yeah.
and a lot of the times that means it's going to be a young man that's asked to go, play offense, defense, and sometimes special teams as well.
No, for sure, man. I'll never, from an effort and just willingness standpoint, like those guys are getting after it. And they're doing all that they can do. And we did have some guys out. We had, some, probably three starters in the secondary. Uh, another guy that rolls in back there. So we were thin back there. On top of, like you said, a lot of those guys, playing, three phases of the game. But at the end of the day, um, that's a part of it. But we're never going to make that excuse of, well, you know, this or that. Like we have to own it, and I think that's part of that's part of the growth of a team. Like we have to own whatever it is, and I get it. I mean, as coaches, we realize, all right, this guy's down or that guy's playing 90 plus plays, they're fatigued, whatever. Like there's always things that attribute to maybe not playing to the level that we need to. But I am always proud of their effort. They're not going to play perfect, but their effort and their want to, for the most part, has been there.
Coach, turning the page to Appling County, we travel up to Georgia this Friday night to take on Pirates. They are also coming off a loss this past Friday night. What can we expect to see from Appling this Friday night?
They're big, they're physical. Um, they don't do a ton, and really in any phase of the game, they're not a big, ton of formations or elaborate scheme defensively. It's pretty standard. Um, they're going to line up and just looking offensively, they're probably the biggest offensive line we've seen this year, maybe the best one. Uh, their starting quarterback is out, so the backup is in. So that's changed a little bit of what they do. The starting quarterback, he was a dual threat. He was sporty. But their receivers, they're big, fast, physical. Running backs are they're big. So just when they in pregame, they're going to win pregame for sure. And we've already told our kids that. Like they're off the hook, they're going to look better than we do. But I say all that, and it's their homecoming. So it really the table is set for us. We're sitting at 1-3. We come off a tough loss. We're on the road against a physically bigger team. Homecoming, like so, the table is set for us to go in and just destroy all that, and go in and do something very special. Now it's going to take everything that we have. It's going to be a battle. Um, but there are some things they do defensively that I think we can take advantage of. We're going to have to play extremely well defensively against the run. Just because they're big and they can lean on you. They got a big time playmaker, number 3 at receiver. They're going to throw it up to him, the max protect, and he's athletic. He will go up and get it. So again, just looking at the theme for us, take away the big play, slow down the run. They're going to get some yards, and it's going to be a battle. But if we can finally put together a 4-quarter game and continue to play better, we can go up and beat them, which will be, this is a game that can turn the table. This can turn the season around, get us back to where we need to be going. But it's going to be a tall task.
Now, see, you told me something in that, Coach, that I didn't realize. I didn't realize that we are their homecoming game.
Oh yeah.
And so, I mean, I know as a Gator fan, I'm used to seeing Idaho come to town, or we hang, a 60 burger on them. I'm sure your days at Florida State, you probably welcome Ball State to Doak
Yeah.
Campbell Stadium just to put it on them real good.
Yeah.
What does that give you, kind of like a little bit of extra, nudge to your players, like they're in your pregame speech, like, hey, by the way, guys, this is their homecoming
I
game.
sure hope so. Like any added motivation is always welcome. So I would hope as a player, like you take that disrespect and that fuels you even more.
Absolutely.
I mean, I can get mad about it, but I can't go out to anybody or do anything. So it doesn't do anything for me to, to take it as disrespect. I need our kids to take that as disrespect, and like they don't think anything of us. Like we're their homecoming. That's
Mhm.
exactly what they thought of us. They're gonna run. They think they're gonna run us out of the building. So again, it's a great opportunity to go in, um, knock them off. I mean, it's really fun beat people in their homecoming. That's a game that you want to win, you got to win, but it's there for us. We've just hopefully we get some of these guys back, but regardless who's dressed, who's not, we got to go out and finally put it together. And I believe these guys can do it. Um, so it's there for us.
Well, Coach, the NCAA now is requiring teams to put out an injury report in river country sports. We're going to implement something similar to that, where we're going to make sure that we know injury wise I'm not gonna hold your feet to the fire on
Yeah,
anything, so
yeah.
you feel free to talk about just some of the injuries that we're going through, where we kind of stand with some game time decisions, and some of the guys that have been banged up these last couple weeks.
Yeah, so, we've had Coy's been out, Hunter Watson, Jadarius Horn at running back, Jack Harrington, Christian Sakars from the first game. He was banged up. Lopez was out. Dylan Allen got banged up this past Friday. I think he was the only one from this past Friday that kind of went down and didn't come back out into the game. So as of now, we're not exactly sure who's going to be back. Lopez practiced today. Coy practiced today. So hopefully they can withstand and they're feeling good. But the thing with those injuries, I want to make sure they're 100% or as close to it as possible. Because what I don't want to do is put them in there and they aggravate it more and it puts them out more. Because there's still a ton of important games in front of us. Next week being a district game, then a bye week, and then that last district game. So we just got to be smart about it, take care of the kids. But the quicker we can get them back would be ideal.
I think it would probably been quicker for you to give me a roster and say he's not hurt.
True. Yes.
It would.
And at this point, everybody's a little banged up. We got some guys playing with some discomfort, but hopefully, those guys can get back healthy soon.
Well, Coach, this Friday night, like we have mentioned, we are traveling to Appling County.
Yep.
7:30 kickoff. Coach's show will begin at 7 o'clock. Pregame show will begin at 7 o'clock on rivercountrysports.com. So definitely get on there and watch the pregame show. And then 7:30, we have our kickoff. Coach Hall, thank you as always for joining me, and best
Good
of
to
luck
see you.
this,
I'm glad
this
you're feeling
upcoming
better.
Friday. Yes, thank
Hopefully our Knowles and Gators can figure it out.
I don't know. Well, that we'll focus on some other stuff later.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you to Hardee's of Live Oak for providing our meal tonight. A big thank you to our show sponsor, West Haney Chevrolet, located in the heart of Bulldog Country in Live Oak. Join us next Monday at 7 p.m. on River Country Sports for the next version of the Coaches Show. He's Coach Kyler Hall. I'm TJ Vickers. Thank you. Good night. And as always, go Dogs.